Let's see if that actually does any good. So we've been on for 2 seconds now, and I'm looking at my phone, and I'm just waiting to show up on my. Let me make sure the volume's turned down because I don't want to hear me squawking over myself. So it looks like it's about to be doing something. I'm seeing the little swirly circle thing, and we're about 20 seconds in. Usually at about 20 seconds in, it's already going, but it's not going yet. So yeah, it's been a while since I've been on here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it's been a while. Life got in the way is basically what happened, and I've been trying to move a lot of stuff out of my storage unit. I've been trying to help my mom get her garage cleaned out so I can put stuff in there from my storage unit. I've been working a lot. Work schedule's been kicking my ass lately. You know how usually I have the shift where I go in early on Monday and Tuesday. Well, last week, not this past weekend, but last weekend, uh, I had a shift before that where I didn't get off till 8 o'clock in the morning, and that just exhausted me. That just wiped me out. So I wasn't able to do any videos on Monday or Tuesday, and then I wound up being busy for all the rest of the week, and it was crazy. And Al Davis is here. Poor old Al Davis thought I was dead or something. And god damn it if my screen isn't mirrored again. Oh, I hate that. Now I have to try to fix it. So yeah, and Al Davis kept posting messages, and I saw them eventually. He kept posting comments. Oh, fine, I missed you. I missed you too. I missed all you guys. And Bobby Wald's here. He says he's been going through Alan Belk withdrawals. Well, don't worry, Bobby. I got something special for you today, in case you didn't already see the title of the episode. Let me figure out again how I get the screen the way I want it to be set up. I don't want to be mirrored. There we go. I got it fixed. Because I'm just used to, again, if I move my hand over here, I want it to be on like this side of the screen for me. I don't want it to be on this side of this. You see what I'm saying? Like I want see, like if I got my hand right here, I'm looking at the screen. It looks like this hand here. Like it does. You see what I'm saying? It's on the other side. I don't want it to be mirrored. I don't like it being mirrored. It throws me off. Throws me off my game. Al Davis says, "I wonder, you were sorely missed." So I gushed in the comments. Well, thanks, Al. I mean, that means a lot to me. Poor old Al Davis thought I was dead, but nope, I still live. I'm still here. I do have a lot of cool stuff to open up, and I wasn't sure what to start with today because it's been a while, but I wanted to do something special. So I figured we'd go ahead and start on some of these Crimson Moon figures. Now, I'm not sure when I'm going to get around to opening the rest of them because all four of these other figures I have, I'm going to mix and match the parts and put together Baron Ironblood. So maybe that'd be a good episode just to do all four of those in one episode, huh? But today we're gonna kind of ease back into it, but we still got something cool. Bobby Wald says my friend went to Joe Fest this year, picking up exclusive Agents of Omega and Skeleton. Yeah, I wanted to try to go to Joe Fest, but I wasn't able to just because again work's been kicking my ass. But one year, I will go to Joe Fest, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And then Al Davis says, I didn't want you to be dead. Definitely. I want a live Alan Belk. Thank you very much. Well, then if I was dead, it wouldn't be a live stream anymore, would it? It'd be a dead stream. And I don't think that's even been invented yet. So yeah, I do appreciate you looking out for me. And, that's very touching, honestly, very, very touched right here. But yeah, Lone Dragon had asked me about going to Joe Fest, and I would have liked to, because I would have liked to met him face to face, but unfortunately, like I said, and Aldi's, and then I'd have to comment on all the old videos. Well, you can do that too. I mean, it's like you can go back and watch whatever. I mean, I've been doing them for like a few years, even before you discovered this channel. So, Order of the Crimson Moon. This is a very interesting line of figures to me, and I have discussed some Crimson Moon characters on the channel before because they made some for their Eagle Force line, some 3 3/4 inch versions. So I put together those. Lone Dragon, Bobby Wall says Lone Dragon rode down to Joe Fest with my friend Woody. Well, that's cool. I hope they had a great time. Yeah, I knew Lone Dragon was there. I don't know if I know your friend Woody. Is he has he ever been on the channel before? So has he ever been down there in the chat? So maybe he's watched the videos and he's just a lurker, and that's fine. I lurk in videos a lot. Like there's a lot of channels that I follow. Like I follow C is the director, who he comes in here sometimes, and I follow Future DC Warrior, and he comes in here sometimes, and Max Games and Toys, and Amiga Cammy's here. Oh, we got a whole big group here. This is nice. And Skywalker the Jedi is another one that and you're like, I'll go into their chats and chat with them some whenever I see them live, and it's always nice to do that. But sometimes I just lurk. Sometimes I like to just lurk and sit back and listen to what everybody else has to say. So yeah, if any regular lurkers out there missed me, I want you to know that I appreciate you guys too. I appreciate all of the friends of the channel, all of the viewers, whatever you want to call them, whatever you guys want to call yourselves. I don't really have a dog in that fight, So I'd seen somebody say Belkheads once. I forget who that was, but if y'all want to call yourselves Belkheads, that's fine. I'll be honored. But anyway, so like I said, the Action Force, the Ego Force figures, the 3 3/4 inch ones. I mainly got the ones that I got because I wanted to put together Baron Ironblood with those parts, and I've done the same thing with these. I got all the figures that I need to put together a Baron Ironblood figure, and that's also going to give me a Black Major figure and a few other cool characters. But this is the one that I bought just for himself. This is the one that I saw, and I'm like, hey, that's cool. I'd like to have that. So this is Wolfsbane. You can see here. There's what the back of the package looks like. And I really like the artwork on here. It definitely is, I believe, intentionally meant to invoke the style of Mike Mignola, the creator of Hellboy, Belker Skelters, Belconians, Belkites, whatever you want to call yourselves. That's fine. That's fine. You don't need to have a fan nickname. And like fan, I don't like to think of you guys as fans. You guys are my friends. So fans is kind of presumptuous. When I hear somebody talk, like a YouTube person talk about their fans, and like, bro, you're just a guy on YouTube. It's like anybody could be a guy on YouTube. I'm a guy on YouTube. And I certainly wouldn't presume to call any of you guys fans. You're my friends. Okay, you're friends of the channel is what I like to say. So let's see. Somewhere on here there's credits, and I want to talk about the credits real quick. So 3D renders, Adrian Melton. Artwork, Dana Black. So Dana Black is the artist who provided this very nice Mike Mignola-esque artwork. And considering how the original Crimson Shadows were kind of repaints of the bad guys from World War II, and this is a kind of a supernatural kind of thing. It fits right in with Hellboy, with that kind of style, with it being kind of a supernatural spin-off of World War II. So these guys are kind of like a cult from what I can gather, and it should be interesting. Amiga Cammy says, I call the people who watch my streams friends. See, there we go. I've never seen Amiga Cammy's streams before. How about that? So I'm going to see if I can find them. I'm gonna see if I can find your channel later. So yeah, because I need to check those out. You check out my streams, I should check out your streams, right? So Bobby Wald says I need to pick up the Black Major and that Zombie Trooper. Well, real quick, I'll show you the other ones that I have. And I think I've talked about these before, but you can see that. So here is Major Noir, and if you got Major Noir and you've got Count Iron Moon, then you've got most of Baron Ironblood right there. You want to do a head swap with these two. And then you have Baron Ironblood and you have the Black Major. But if you really want to go all out for your Baron Ironblood figure, you got to get the Legionnaire, because he's got the Baron Ironblood helmet. And then this guy is the other one that I got that's not really a Black Major. I forgot. He's not really a Baron Ironblood figure, but of course, he's a Red Cobra Commander. And this is the one that just says he's just called Order of the Crimson Moon. So I guess this is just supposed to be like the cult members. Amiga Cammy says, I stream on Twitch. That's why I haven't seen him playing retro games and pinball machines, but I open toys occasionally. That's cool. Yeah, I don't really go on Twitch. So I might have to make a special trip onto Twitch. But yeah, I've never really been on Twitch myself. So yeah, I guess I misspoke. I guess I actually have 3 figures. So we'll do all 3 of those figures together, so I can put together Baron Ironblood and the Black Major, and we'll talk about the Legionnaire, and then the cult member, as I'm going to call him. He'll be a separate video as well. So this is the wrong one. That's Legionnaire again. Where did I put? Yeah, here he is. Yeah. So like I said before, all these Crimson Moon figures are based off of the Red Shadows. And the Red Shadows are a very fascinating subset of G.I. Joe that I've always been interested in. And I use that loosely because they're not necessarily G.I. Joe characters, but they kind of are and they kind of aren't. So we're gonna discuss that a little bit here today. And Al Davis says, kind of fitting with Lobster Johnson. Yeah, Lobster Johnson would be a perfect character to fit into this continuity, I think. In the early BPRD days, yeah, exactly. I've watched and enjoyed videos and subscribed to Cammy's channel. Well, that's cool. So yeah, I'll try to check out Twitch. I will try to check out Twitch and check out her Twitch channel. I would like to see that. So yeah, in the 1980s, the early 1980s and the late 70s, it really started with the late 70s. You had the oil crisis, and plastic became a lot more expensive. And what was previously the main style of action figure being like 12-inch figures, like the original G.I. Joe, those started to become a little too expensive. And toy companies started to experiment with ways of making the action figures smaller. Like Mego figures were mostly 8-inch figures. And, like Hasbro experimented with a line called, God, what was it called? Like the Defenders or something like that, where it was they made their own G.I. Joe knockoff that was like a blow molded 5-point of articulation 12-inch figure. And so there'd been G.I. Joe knockoffs for decades, and Hasbro's like, you know what, why don't we just make our own G.I. Joe knockoff? And they made the Defenders, and they put like, cheap versions of the G.I. Joe outfits on them and stuff like that. And basically what wound up happening was that Kenner came up with the bright idea of making 3 3/4-inch Star Wars action figures. And they picked the 3 3/4-inch size because they knew they wanted to do the vehicles. They wanted the figures to fit in the vehicles. And that was the best size that they could figure out. Like literally the president of Kenner just said, make them about that big. And that's why Star Wars figures are about that big. So they figured out what was the best size to make these Star Wars action figures, where they could make like a decently enough detailed figure where you could tell that it was, supposed to be Han Solo or Luke Skywalker or Obi-Wan Kenobi or, the Death Squad commander or whatever. And and the best size they could get a recognizable figure, but still get it to fit in a vehicle. And they figured out the sizes of the vehicles by taking the Chewbacca figure, which was the tallest figure, and kind of cutting him in half and gluing him on the wall in a sitting position. And then they took the slides of the blueprints of the Star Wars vehicles, and they kind of lined them up with the Chewbacca figure to figure out how far they could push, like the size of the cockpits versus the size of the vehicles before it started to look ridiculous. And if you're familiar with the vintage Star Wars line, that they are a little malproportioned compared to how they actually are in the movie. But still, they're big enough that to me, when I was a kid, I didn't really think much about it. I just put Luke Skywalker in his X-Wing, and I was good to go. So they wound up revolutionizing the action figure industry, and 3 3/4-inch wound up being the standard action figure size until probably like the very late 80s, early 90s, when Batman and Ninja Turtles became really big. And, you had outliers like Masters of the Universe and of course, Transformers. And, most of your fantasy adventure figures, 1 to 8 Masters of the Universe, they were about that size. But still, most action figures were 3 3/4 inch figures. And Hasbro and Palitoy, for their G.I. Joe and Action Man lines, kind of independently came up with the same idea, which is, why don't we make this line in 3 3/4 inch? And Hasbro hadn't actually done G.I. Joe in a few years. They tried to do Super Joe, and that fizzled. But Action Man was still going strong over in the UK. But still, do the 3 3/4 inch version of Action Man. So they created Action Force. I'm going to catch up with the chat for a little bit. Amiga Cami says, thanks, Al, for following her channel. I meant to point that out earlier. Amiga Cami says they figured out the perfect world building scale. Exactly. Not just the vehicles either, the play sets. And then you could afford to buy everything. And trust me, my family was not the richest family, but I had every Star Wars toy. Like it was not a problem. Like we were maybe lower middle class, but I did not want for any Star Wars figures at all. Like there were toys I would have like. I never got my aircraft carrier, my USS Flag, but for the most part, I had everything that I wanted, and I had a very content childhood as far as toys. Al Davis says, I have the old pre-Stars Action Force figures. They're complete with the big Action Man figures with the holes in their feet, which match the Star Wars foot peg style of figure. Yeah, I have one Action Man of all the vintage G.I. Joe that I have. I have one that's an actual Action Man, and that's the Action Man version of the Man of Action. I don't know what they called him in the UK. But it's the in the United States, it would have been the G.I. Joe Man of Action from the Adventure Team. So I have that one, and he's the one that I dressed up in a Vietnam era Green Beret uniform, and that's my custom 12-inch Lieutenant Falcon figure. It's with the tiger stripe kind of camouflage. It looks really cool. So yeah, and I do have at least one actual Action Force figure, which again I'm kind of obsessed with the G.I. Joe Green Beret. So I got Skip, I think was his name, who he isn't a green beret, but he's got a red beret. And since those had the head sculpts that look like the original G.I. Joe / Action Man, to me it looks like a 3 3/4 inch version of the Green Beret. So I really like that one. And so yeah, I am familiar with all those. I'm not like an expert in them, and I didn't grow up with them because obviously I was on this side of the pond. But I always had an appreciation for how Palitoy was able to transform their Action Man into Action Force, and I thought those were really cool figures. And there was a lot of like realistic type military figures. I'd mentioned that they did World War II type figures, and they got into more sort of sci-fi type of things, undersea adventures and space adventures and things like that. And they created like a modern kind of paramilitary storyline with the villains that were the Red Shadows. And the Red Shadows, like I said, they took the World War II bad guys and basically repainted them into red, and that was how they did that. And I always thought those were really cool. And their leader was a guy, we'll talk about more about him in some future episodes, obviously, a guy called Baron Ironblood. And Baron Ironblood was wearing like some white coverall with this kind of black V with like red over his shoulders, and they all had this cool skull and crossbones logo. This is a little different, but you get the idea. It wasn't like a werewolf skull is the main difference. It was a more human looking skull. But yeah, it was basically the same thing as Cobra here in the United States. It was basically the same sort of idea where like it wasn't supposed to be any one specific country, but more of like an international terrorist organization that your heroes were up against. And in fact, they actually wound up becoming Cobra in a way, or at least Baron Ironblood wound up becoming Cobra Commander. Because you see what happened was eventually Palitoy merged with Hasbro, was bought out by Hasbro, something like that. And Hasbro decided that they were gonna try to import G.I. Joe over into the UK. But since Action Force was already a thing, they kind of folded G.I. Joe into Action Force, and they started to release more G.I. Joe characters in the Action Force line, like not actual G.I. Joe characters, but they used the molds of G.I. Joe characters to create new Action Force characters. Like, for example, Stalker was given a repaint with a red beret, and he was called Jammer. And Scarlet was repainted as a blonde. And I did a review of the GI Joe classified version of that character, Quarrel, and that sort of thing. And one of the repaints, they did 2 repaints of that I know of villain characters that I thought were interesting for the Red Shadows. So they did a Red Shadows version of Cobra Commander called Red Laser, and he came with the Action Force version of the HAL, and they did a guy called Red Jackal. Now, Red Jackal was a repaint of Destro, but I guess since Destro was so awesome, they didn't want to change up the design too much. So basically, instead of having a bare chest with the medallion on it and this big red collar, they repainted the collar to white. They repainted the bare chest into a red t-shirt, and over the amulet, they painted the Red Shadows emblem. He still had the chrome head. He still had the black leather jacket and pants, and that was where Red Jackal came from. Now, Al Davis says, did not know that. Such a cool history for the characters, isn't it, though? Now, what wound up happening was, since, they were going to fold in these G.I. Joe characters, and Baron Ironblood was going to become Cobra Commander, basically Baron Ironblood wound up betraying his own army, wound up betraying the Red Shadows, and built an entirely new organization called Cobra. And he changed his Baron Ironblood identity for Cobra Commander. So that's his version, the version of his origin for this continuity. Cobra Commander's had lots of different origins. So, but I do really like the Baron Ironblood version. I think that's pretty cool. And he wound up forcing Red Jackal to become Destro and become his lackey. So that was a whole big thing. So this figure, Wolfsbane, is an homage to the Red Jackal figure. This is supposed to be like their equivalent of this. And while they did make a lot of changes, probably so they don't get sued, you can still see a lot of Destro in this figure, and we're going to talk about that. Bobby Wald says, I know somebody repainted the HasLab his tank to the hyena. Yeah, that's right. He came with the repaint of the his tank that was the hyena. I forgot to mention that. So yeah, that's where Red Jackal came from. And this character is not exactly supposed to be Red Jackal, but he's obviously supposed to be like visually an homage to Red Jackal. And you see he's got that iron mask in there, and it is a bit different from Destro's, but we're going to talk about that some. I'm going to get into all that. And the interesting thing is that is not supposed to be the mask. Wolfsbane is supposed to be wearing this red balaclava that we see on here. That's supposed to be his default look. So let's read the back of the package, and we'll get a little more into this. Transylvania, 1974. The Order of the Crimson Moon prepares to reshape the world in blood and terror, using dark rituals and twisted science. But a prophecy of betrayal ignites paranoia, fracturing the cult from within. As loyalties shift and chaos erupts, one choice could end Count Iron Moon's reign or doom humanity forever. Wow, how about that? Al Davis's Toy Empire. Oh, have you seen Plastic Galaxy documentary? It's really good. Toy Empire is also really good. I know I've seen at least one of those, maybe both of them. And yes, I did enjoy them. So yeah, those were really good. So let's get a closer look at the artwork there. And you can see what I'm talking about, how like they were definitely trying to capture a Mike Mignola feel. And I think they did a really good job. And here's the cross-sell down at the bottom. Now, I don't know how many of these figures I'm going to be able to get, because I'm sure some of them are at least sold out. But you got Count Iron Moon, the Legionnaire, Major Noir, which I have all 3 of those. And then then we have the Exterminator and the Order of the Crimson Moon. Like I said, I think that's just like a cult member. We'll get more into him in a future episode. The Noir Elite Guardsmen, which I guess those are going to be Major Noir's men, and then just the Trooper, which would be like the basic Red Shadows. So I'm guessing that Hasbro probably owns all the trademarks to Baron Ironblood, Red Shadows, things like that. and the actual Red Shadows emblem. But I'm guessing they were able to find some gray area, some loophole where they were able to pay homage to these original Red Shadows designs. And as a guy who always found the Red Shadows kind of fascinating, I really wanted to get into these because I thought they were really cool. Now, like I said, I never knew about the Red Shadows when I was a kid, nor even knew about their existence because they were all the way across the pond in England, and I didn't even know about Action Force at all until I saw the Action Force comics over here. You know, some of the actual progs would get imported over here, and some of these stories would get reprinted as G.I. Joe European missions over here. So that was when I first found out about Action Force, but I didn't really start to get into the nitty-gritty of it until the internet. And once I discovered the Red Shadows, I was hooked. And they've been kind of part of my G.I. Joe universe ever since. So in my version, Baron Ironblood is actually an alternate identity that Cobra Commander uses, and that Cobra Commander actually, he stirs up trouble all over the world. And when he's in the UK, he's the commander of the Red Shadows, and he calls himself Baron Ironblood. And in the various armies, he's the only one that knows. He's the only, maybe the Baroness knows, but he's the only one that really knows. And that the various armies, they think that there's a connection between the Red Shadow, like they're allies or something, but they don't know that they're actually led by the same man. So we got to read the actual bio of Wolfsbane on here. Wolfsbane is a mysterious and ruthless figure at the heart of Count Ironmoon's dark plans. A master of both advanced weaponry and ancient magic, he's tasked with spreading the Crimson Moon contagion, an elixir that transforms humans into obedient werewolves. Backed by an army of cyborg soldiers, part machine and part reanimated corpse, Wolfsbane blends science and sorcery to a devastating effect. While loyal to Iron Moon, he harbors his own ambitions, using manipulation and fear to maintain power within the cult. As the contagion spreads and the world inches towards chaos, Wolfsbane's true motives remain hidden behind a mask of loyalty and cold precision. That does sound a little familiar, doesn't it? Like maybe this version of the character takes a little bit more from Destro than just his visual appearance. And Destro was always more of a science guy than a magic guy, but at least on the G.I. Joe cartoon there were some hints at the mystical side of the Destro legacy and how he had like an eldritch abomination in the basement of his castle and all that kind of stuff. So and then Al Davis says, oi oi, chaps, Don the pub. Is that an old drinking song? Sounds like an old drinking chant or something like that. That's fun. Bobby Hall says, the priest is on my shelf. The one that looks like Cobra Commander, but wearing the cape and the hood with the book. It almost want to give him a wand because it looks like he's ready to go to Hogwarts. Is that this one here that I was talking about earlier? That's just the package just says Order of the Crimson Moon. The one that looks like Cobra Commander. And I got that one just because he's a red Cobra Commander, and I thought that was awesome. So yeah. But honestly, this is a cool enough continuity on its own. And I might just kind of mash them together, and my version of the Red Shadows and the Crimson Moon will just be the same thing. And Al Davis says, down the apples and pears in my pocket, old China. There we go. I got you. So let's go ahead and open them up now that we got that out of the way. Oh yeah, I wanted to finish reading the rest of these credits. I got distracted. So packaging logo and design Joe Amaro, Crimson Moon logo design and art direction Chris Scott, story concept Sean Rourke. So yeah, some very cool stuff. So I wanted to make sure that I did give these guys some credit. And this is a Big Bad Toy Store exclusive. It's a Big Bad Workshop, fresh monkey fiction, and has additional accessories by Gridiron Studios, which I'm a fan of, and I've talked about their stuff on the channel here before. Yep, that's the one. All right, cool. So yeah, he's a pretty awesome looking figure. He'll be the other one that I open separately, since I want to open all three of my Baron Ironblood figures together, but he's not really a Baron Ironblood figure, so he'll get it. And here's a stand with a whole bag of, looks like some extra hands and some other stuff. Some, looks like some stuff to stick on his gauntlets. Because he does have something that it's not actually rocket launchers on here. It looks like mini Gatling guns. But it does acknowledge the rocket launchers that were the wrist rockets from Destro. And then he's got this briefcase, this attaché case. And of course, the original Destro figure and Red Jackal both had an attaché case that attached to their back. Unfortunately, this does not look to have any kind of back peg, which would have been a nice touch. But, you know, it's still really nice on its own. And then we open it up and we see 2 canisters inside. Something sinister, no doubt. And they've even sculpted in some padding over here, like some foam kind of a egg package, or egg carton type of packaging. Al Davis asks, is that a snook? It might be. Bobby Wald asks if I picked up any Skeletron figures, and unfortunately I have not. So, but I might look into those and see if we can get those. And this machine pistol looks very much like the one that the original Destro figure came with, and Red Jackal himself. So we'll set that aside. And then let's see what else we got in this package. We've got here are some little missile launchers, and those look like they'll plug into they're little pieces of missile launchers that look like they'll plug into. It's little pew pews, but you can see they're little mini missiles that launch. See with the like little trails coming out of them. So we'll set those aside, and there's 2 of those, and then one more pew pew. I think it'll be easier if I just cut the tape here. And I bet this one will fit into his machine pistol. Like so. Ah, that looks cool. Okay, so we'll set that back aside. And then, last of the accessories that are in the package. And then we'll get into the stuff that's in a little baggie. Let me get this twist tie out first. And I'm happy to see a twist tie. You know, I never thought I'd be happy to see twist ties. But after dealing with rubber tabs for so long, it's actually nice to see a twist tie. It gives me a little nostalgic twinge. Let's real quick before I do anything else talk about the insert in the package, and that's got it's got a blue background, which I think is a good choice because it contrasts with the figure, and it's again got that Crimson Moon logo, the skull and crossbones with the werewolf skull. And this is what I think is the most interesting accessory, and probably the most important one to me as a G.I. Joe fan, which is the Iron Mask. Now, I believe that this is actually supposed to be like a bionic, like a mechanical head that he puts on his troopers and controls their zombie movements with this mechanical head. So I think that that's what this is supposed to be. But to those of us who are familiar with G.I. Joe, the resemblance to Destro is obvious. And I'm going to say this is while it does have a lot more surface detail added to it, and it's got some paint to it, you can see that there's some black shapes at the cheekbones, black inside the mouth, red in the eyes, and you can see there's other surface detail on it. I will say that this is probably the most accurate version, oddly enough, ironically, since this isn't an official Hasbro G.I. Joe toy. This one to me looks a lot more like the original Destro head than any of the ones that I've seen for classified so far. It's got that kind of like really sharp, angular, exaggerated look to it. And they did a really good job, I think, making this a head that's recognizably Destro, but different enough from Destro that they won't get sued. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the 2002 Destro head, the one from G.I. Joe versus Cobra back in 2002. And yes, as Al Davis points out, it does look very much like Dr. Doom. So if we put a hood over them, and in fact, got a green hood, the one that came with my Masterverse Keldor figure. How about that? Curse you, Richards! Oh, that's awesome. So the head's really cool. This is the head that's going to stay on mine. Because mine's going to just be Destro. He's just going to be Destro. It's Destro in a different outfit. This is the outfit that Destro wears when he's working with the Crimson Moon, and he wants, or the Red Shadows, or whatever you want to call them, and he wants to show his allegiance. So he actually puts on a T-shirt. This is Destro in my continuity, and you'll notice there are rubber tabs on here. Son of a bitch. So rubber tabs about the forearms. I just didn't notice them. If you look really closely at this guy's face, he is very dark-skinned, which leads me to believe he's probably black. And that's that actually I kind of feel like is actually an homage to Destro, because as I'm sure a lot of you know, the actor that played Destro on the cartoon, Aaron Burghardt, is actually a black man. And a lot of people think that Destro is supposed to be black because of that. But in the original comic book, he was supposed to be Scottish. And even in the cartoon, he's supposed to be Scottish. So, and Burghardt doesn't really do like a full-on Scottish accent, but he does give him a little bit of a brogue and roll the R's occasionally. So, like, he does a great job. I love Aaron Burghardt. He's awesome. But yeah. So I kind of feel like that's another way of paying homage to the legacy of Destro, is by making this character a black character. You know, it kind of pays homage to the original actor that played Destro, and that's pretty nice. So he's got these, I guess they are missile launchers. If I looked at them from the side, that you see they look a lot like Gatling guns. So I thought maybe they're supposed to be little Gatling guns, but no, they are supposed to be little missile launcher things, I think. And it looks like to me, what you're supposed to do is you take these little caps off, the whole thing comes off, and it looks like the cap is supposed to come off at the end. And I'm not going to do it because I don't want to lose this piece. And I kind of feel like it's stuck in here really good. I kind of feel like if I pull it out, it's going to go flying across my room and I'm just never going to see it again. Al Davis says Destro is short for Destro. Oh, maybe. I don't know. So for those of you who don't know, we're going to go over it real quick, just for the sake of being thorough. The original origin of Destro, from the very first file card, is that he wears his iron mask to honor a family legacy. And I don't remember if they got really too deep into it on that version of the file card, but I'm sure it was in Larry Hama's notes, and it's in other versions of the file card, various comics, various cartoons, things like that. Destro's ancestor, the very first Destro, the very first James McCullen, he sold weapons to both sides of a war. And that was the thing that they caught him for. But they still wanted him to make weapons, so they couldn't kill him. So they decided to lock his head into an iron mask. And that was how he became the original Destro. And ever since then, all of his descendants, every single James McCullen since, has willingly donned the iron mask of Destro. Now, our current Destro, his is a much more high-tech version of it, with lots of gadgets and things like that built into it. And I think that it's probably supposed to be like a liquid metal kind of thing, honestly, which is why, you know, our Destro, you can see facial expressions and his lips move when he talks. It isn't just like a fixed iron mask. So Al Davis says, so in like every war then? Yes. And in fact, my version of Destro, in my mind, he actually has a secret identity. It's not common knowledge that James McCullen is Destro. In my version, that's how it works. Is James McCullen he's a good guy. He sells weapons to the United States and NATO and things like that. But on the other hand, you have Destro, who sells the weapons to Cobra. So he's still up to his family's old tricks, and nobody knows that not even Cobra Commander knows that James McCullen is Destro. Baroness is the only one. Baroness knows everything. Baroness knows, or at least eventually figures out, that James McCullen is Destro because, you know, she was his lover when they were younger, James McCullen, and Destro manages to seduce her again and reveals his identity to her. So yeah, and she's playing all the sides against each other. But really, Destro, at the end of the day, the Baroness is going to wind up being loyal to Destro. because she loves him. She loves him. Despite the Baroness being the type of person that she is, she's got just enough purity in her heart that she can really love somebody, even if it's Destro. Does it rhyme with Knockafella or Red Shield Rothschild? Now you're getting it. Now you're getting it. My version of Destro was a bit more realistic than we would like to think. But he does have really cool hands. The hands are, supposed to be armored gauntlets like Destro had. But it looks to me like the design of them, if you look at like the fingertips, they're a bit more squared off. And it almost seems like these are more supposed to be actual bionic hands than simply armored gauntlets. Now, one thing that I will criticize about this figure, and I think they could have done a better job with, is I believe that this is just kind of the lab coat they already have, just kind of repainted. And by the way, I do have that Dr. Benton Quest / Dr. Venom figure in my pile of loot from Big Bad Toy Store. So I will be getting that hopefully sometime soon. I'm just waiting on those Conan and Reg Sonia figures to come in before I place my Big Bad Toy Store order. But I suspect that this is probably the same trench coat that they use on like a lot of different figures, like the lab coat for that one and things like that. That's what I'm thinking. I'll know when I get that one in hand as to how right I am. But it's just kind of a plain trench coat. And I kind of feel like what they should have done for this guy to really make him Destro, their version of Destro, their stealth version of Destro, is give him like more of a, it could still be like a regular trench coat collar, but give him more of a popped collar. You know what I mean? Other than that, I think this is really cool. And I think it definitely captures the feel of the Red Jackal, but we can make him more Red Jackal when I pop the head off of the neck. And man, this thing is not wanting to come out. Set the head aside before I drop it. And I don't want to have to go use my hairdryer. There we go. I got it out. So there's the neck piece. So we're going to put in this mask. And like I said, I think this is supposed to be like his brainwashed zombies. It's either supposed to be like a prosthetic mechanical head that controls the zombie, or like maybe a mask that mind controls people or something like that. But I'm going to leave this on him. This is going to be my permanent head for him because I want him to just be Red Jackal. I just want him to be Destro. That's how I want to do this. But I do really like this balaclava head, and I'm going to have to find some kind of use for it. I don't know what I'm going to do for it yet, with it yet. So let's go ahead and talk about, we got more accessories to go over. I'm almost forgetting about the baggie. So let's talk about the stuff in the baggie. Go ahead and get that opened up. It looks like there's going to be a lot of extra hands and things for the wrists and everything like that. And I think I've pointed out before that wrist launcher is removable. So inside the baggie is another baggie. So we got baggyception here. Al Davis says, do you think they included it as an army builder too, a la Doombots? Yes, that's exactly what I believe the intention was. So here's the stand with the Crimson Moon logo on it, and it's tampographed on there, so shouldn't scrape off too easily, I don't think. But yeah, Al, that's exactly what I think it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be like you buy several of these guys, and you can build him an army of cyborg zombies, and then you keep the red balaclava on your actual Wolfsbane. So this isn't technically, although it's obviously supposed to be an homage to Red Jackal, it's not technically supposed to be Red Jackal. It's supposed to be a new character. So that way, you can have a leader, and you can have the mindless zombie army. So inside here, we got one more pew pew, and it's one of my favorite types of pew pews, which is the little plume of smoke as if he's just shot at somebody. And I do really like that. That's one that looks cool in just kind of a neutral pose. And then, God, what else do we have here? We got so much stuff. So we got these little plates. And this could be good for having, you could put one on your Wolfsbane / Red Jackal / Destro, whatever you're using for. whole new character if you want. These little plates, and it looks to me like almost like a smartphone kind of thing, like a little control panel. So let's put one of these on one of his forearms right now. So of course the original Destro just had the wrist rockets on one arm, and then the other arm had a control panel on it. Well, you can make them a little more accurate to the vintage Red Jackal if you want by putting this control panel on there. And he does have two of them also. So if you wanted to, you could also just as well replace both of them. Like if you wanted to do the army build of the robot zombies and you don't necessarily want them to have wrist launchers, well, there you go. And then here's another piece that looks like it's supposed to attach on the wrist launcher, like a little extension for it. And that one looks more like almost like a flamethrower or something like that. And it looks like the pew-pews will fit into that one too. So that one could be a Gatling gun or something if you wanted to actually. Maybe that's why they made it look slightly like a Gatling gun. I'm gonna have to do it, aren't I? I'm gonna have to try to take this thing off, and I really don't want to. So I'm gonna do something kind of disgusting, and I'm gonna pull it out with my teeth. I'm gonna pull it out with my teeth just so I know that it doesn't go flying across the room. I still have a hold of it, and that way we can go ahead and put the rocket launcher in there, so you can see the full effect of that with the rockets launching, and then we can see it with the extension here. So there's a lot of really cool display options here, and like I would like to try to get more of these just so I can display them in different ways. But I figure you'd probably want to have your rocket launchers and your guns and things on there, because the only gun he comes with is that pistol. And that is not really like a good weapon for like an army build. You know what I mean? If you're going to do an army build, you want to have. I'm going to leave the launching missiles in there just for now, because I want to have that as being the thumbnail picture. I think that'll look really cool. But yeah, if it was going to be a true army builder, I'd probably rather this guy come with like a rifle of some kind. But no, he just comes with this old machine pistol. And that to me seems more like a leader's kind of weapon, don't you think? Would you not agree? To those of you out there in the chat. Now, looking him over, there's a little holster type thing over here with a peg on it. I'm not sure what's supposed to attach into that peg. Is it left over from something else? Is it supposed to hold these extra little pieces? It's a square peg on here and kind of an hexagonal pin on there. So I don't know. It might be just something that's reused from something else. And damned if I didn't knock the wrist launcher off. And that's on both of his thighs. So he doesn't have a proper holster for his gun, and that disappoints me. But he does have a sheath for his knife at his ankle, which is a very, very Destro thing to have. So, and the clip just fell out of the gun. So I didn't even know the clip was a separate piece from this machine pistol. So be very careful of that when you're playing around with them. And I'm probably going to glue that in because I don't really like to have my clips as being loose. That's just me. Al Davis says, do those wrist-mounted weapons affect affects both guns and the wrist rockets? Well, the wrist rockets themselves look like they're only supposed to fit into the wrist rocket launchers, but the extension to it, and that seems like it's only supposed to fit into the wrist launchers as well. That one can hold the regular pew-pews. I don't know if I showed you before. We'll go ahead and do it again because I don't remember. But yeah, there's the standard shooting pew-pew in there, and we can even get that plume of smoke pew-pew. So that'll fit in there. So, but that only plugs into the wrist launcher, I think. Maybe they'll have other accessories that you can swap them out with later. I don't know. So, but that would be cool. So I'm going to take out the other wrist launcher since that one, honestly, they don't fit in there that tightly. So I don't want to lose it while I play with the articulation. And we'll go ahead and take the pistol out of his hand too for that very reason. And before I leave this in here for the rest of the video, let's go ahead and have a look at him holding the knife. There we go. It's a little teeny tiny knife, but it's enough. It'll get the job done when he needs to make stabby. So put that back in the sheath as well. And that does seem to fit kind of snugly in the sheath, so that's good. And if you don't want your army builders to have the mechanical hands or the armored gauntlets, or however you want to look at it. All these hands that come with it are black padded leather gloves. So real quick, let's go over what we have as far as that goes. And we've got two black padded leather gloves, one for each hand. That's the trigger finger hand. And then we have two that are solid fists. And then we have two that are gripping hands without a trigger finger. And then we have two kind of gesturing hands. Now, would it have been nice to have the armored hands in the different positions as well? Yeah, it would have. But I don't think it's a deal breaker. But yeah, if you want to have him like posing with his hand dramatically like that, he's going to have to wear leather gloves. I'm sorry. But you know, some versions of the original, you know, the vintage Destro figures had leather gloves. Like I think the Iron Grenadiers one had leather gloves, and the Battle Core version, I think it was Battle Core, that one had red leather gloves, which I did not like as a kid. I wanted Destro to have either the armored gloves or black leather gloves. The red gloves look a little cartoonish to me. And besides, you know, when they give him red gloves, they got to paint his hands red, and that means the hands are going to chip anyway. So just make the hands black. I don't really need red gloves on Destro. That's silly. That was silly to me. Anyway, so let's go ahead and talk about his articulation now that I've been over all the finally went over all the accessories. So Wolfsbane can look up about that far, look down about that far, tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. Since this is made in the G.I. Joe classified articulation scheme, it does have the extra articulation at the base of the neck also. Al Davis says no Heil Cobra hands, or I guess you call them salute hands. No, that would have been a nice touch though, honestly. But no, it doesn't come with any of those, unfortunately. That's all the hands that it comes with. Now, Red Jackal, Destro, Wolfsbane, his arms rotate all the way around the shoulders, and they raise up to the sides about that far. Is there a butterfly joint on there? It looks like there is. So I had to look under the jacket to see. So his arms can move forwards and backwards a little bit. So that's nice. Looks like that's just forwards and backwards movement. And then he's got torso articulation, like a 25th anniversary G.I. Joe and some of the other classified figures. That kind of almost like a ball and socket joint at the rib cage. And then a little bit of a ball joint effect at the waist, but not a whole lot of one. But he can turn all the way around at the rib cage and turn all the way around at the waist. He does have the drop down hips, so that's nice. And he can kick up about that far, maybe a little further, but that's as far as I feel like taking it. So, and I feel like that's a good range of motion right there, even if it didn't go any further than that. So that's nice. I skipped a lot of the arm articulation, so let's get back on that. All right, so he's got a bicep swivel, and it's really stiff, but this bicep should rotate all the way around. His left arm is a little easier on that. He's got double jointed elbows. That's the range of motion you get at the elbows. And then he's got wrists that rotate all the way around, and they both look to have a horizontal hinge. So that's how. No, wait, I'm wrong. The left wrist has a horizontal hinge, but the right wrist has a vertical hinge. So isn't that fancy? You know, I didn't think to look at the hinges on the other figures, but it looks like that's the same. So I guess that's just how French monkey fiction does it, where like the right hand is going to have a vertical articulation there, and the left hand is going to have a horizontal. So and I like that because I like having both options, and like I kind of feel like you can get a better range of. I kind of like the vertical hinge for when he's holding a gun, because then you can just tilt it up a little bit further when he's in a pose like that. And that way it gives you a little more sort of leeway as to how high or low you want to be holding this gun. When he's just pointing forward like that, he could be shooting from the hip, or maybe trying to shoot down at somebody. And I like that personally. So, and like I said, I think that's always the best kind of wrist articulation to have if a character's having a sword. But it works pretty well for gun hands too, I think. So there is a thigh cut, and the thigh rotates all the way around. Oh, by the way, he can do the splits, no problem. We got to show that off. And then he's got double jointed knees. That's about the range of motion you get at the knees. So not the best, but it's still pretty good. I should point out, and I don't think I pointed this out before, is that this trench coat is a very soft rubbery plastic. And I really like this because it's not going to get him in the way of his articulation at all. I can't imagine any kind of pose that you would want to get this guy into where it's not going to be, where this trench coat is going to interfere with it. So that's really cool. I think you'd probably even sit him in a vehicle. Like if you were lucky enough to have a Hiss tank that you could repaint into a hyena, I think you could probably sit him in the cockpit of that just fine. I mean, look at that. Look at that. It might kind of permanently bunch it up if you leave it in there too long, so I wouldn't advise that. Personally, I would prefer, if I had that, I would stand Red Jackal in the turret and have one of the regular Red Shadows piloting the tank. That's how I would do that. Personally, that's how I would set it up. And then he does have a boot cut. The boot rotates all the way around. By the way, I want to point out he's got these nice black Jack boots. Those are really cool. They do have like they're kind of plain, but I mean that's what you want Destro to have. Any version of Destro, you want him to have like Jack boots. Now I know the original vintage figure had Jack boots that were kind of pointy at the top, kind of looked like Batman. I always thought kind of looked like Batman boots, but but I think these boots are perfect. I really like these. If you're not going to do that, do like boots that like kind of come up over the knee a little bit, like old riding boots. I think that would be really cool for Destro too. I think that's what the 90s Destro figure had. He had boots like that, and I thought those were really cool. So he had gloves that I didn't like and boots that I really liked. So it's kind of a mixed bag. My main problem with that Destro figure, though, is that I felt like his head was too small, especially for a guy who looked like he was supposed to be wearing a mask. And his head's actually a little bit smaller than the average G.I. Joe head. Oddly enough. Bobby Wall says, I had a hard time plugging in those missiles. I didn't realize you had to remove that one cap on his gauntlets. Yeah, and that was something like I was having a hard time with. I was even reluctant to try to pull that thing out because I didn't want to lose it. But once I got it out and got it on there, it's worth getting it on there. I think it looks really sweet. So I think if I was only going to pick one hand to have the rocket launchers on, I would actually pick the left hand. And I realize that is not accurate to the original Destro figure, but since he's got that horizontal hinge on there, I kind of feel like that's a much better wrist rocket launching pose with the hand. Because if I was launching rockets off of my wrist, yeah, I'd want my hand as far away from those fuckers as possible. I'm just saying. I don't care if I am wearing armored gloves. Why take a chance? So this is a really freaking cool figure. And even if you're not into the whole mythos that they've built with the Crimson Moon, which I think is really freaking awesome. And even if you're not into the Action Force Red Shadows figures, which I think are really freaking awesome. If you're just a standard G.I. Joe fan, I think that this is a really cool bootleg Destro. If we're being real about it. And honestly, I'm kind of tempted to try to get if I do manage to get some extras. I don't know if they're available on the website currently or not, or maybe they're sold out. If I do get some extras, I might even swap this head onto my classified Destro figure. I think that would look awesome. Al Davis says that does look really cool. Yeah, doesn't it? They did a great job with that. I'm really impressed. Man, Fresh Monkey Fiction does such good stuff. And I especially love the stuff that they've been doing for Big Bad Toy Store. You know, we opened up the Agent a while back with the hooded Cobra Commander head, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when I open up the Priest over here Bobby Wald called him the Priest, and I'm going to call him the Priest too, because he doesn't have an actual name on the package, and I want to call him something besides Order of the Crimson Moon, because that's just going to get confusing. So I'm gonna borrow Bobby Wald's idea. All credit goes to him, and that's what I'm going to call those going forward. So let's check on the Big Bad Toy Store and see if maybe they've got some of these left on here. And I still don't have my Conan and Red Sonja in yet. even though I see people getting them, but Big Bad Toy Store, for whatever reason, they don't have theirs yet. So get on that, Boss Fight or whoever's holding up the parade, because I want those figures. I want them badly. Crimson Moon. Let's see if any of these are still available. So they do have the cult leader, and they've got a lot of these still in stock. They do have another Wolfsbane, so that's good. So I'm probably gonna buy at least one more of these, and I'm gonna keep the balaclava head on one of them, and I'm gonna take the extra mechanical head, and I'm gonna put it onto the classified Destro figure, because I think that'll look really cool. If I do that, though, I'm probably going to repaint his eyes, because what I think would look really cool is if I repainted his eyes the way that they're shown on the cartoon, where it's like the whites of the eyes are black, and then I think the irises are brown on Destro, but I like to do green because I think that looks really cool. And that Zartan's eyes were like dark green whites of the eyes with like a light green, but I don't remember if Destro's eyes were green or not. Let's look that up real quick. I'm gonna check on. I'll look that up real quick. I like them being green though, but I think they're supposed to be brown. Destro Sunbow. And you know I'm a comic book guy. You know it's the Larry Hama G.I. Joe comics. That's my main continuity. But I do like a lot of stuff from the Sunbow cartoon. And the main thing that I like from the Sunbow cartoon are the designs of the characters. And Russ Heath did most of these designs, and I think he did a great job with them. Ah, they are green. Okay, so I was right. So he has green eyes on the. You can Google that yourself. But yeah, he's the maybe you can see it a little bit here. But yeah, with the black eyes with the green irises. Maybe the green pupils. Maybe his whole eye is black except for the green pupils. It's probably like either built into the mask or like he's wearing some kind of contacts. I know like Destro has an HUD in a lot of continuity. So I could see them as just being kind of like lenses in the mask that looked like that. But anyway, Wolfsbane is a really cool figure, and I would advise anybody who's a fan of G.I. Joe, go ahead and pick this up. You could use him as a Destro figure, or you could use him as Destro's bastard son from the Devil's Due series. I think that would be another really good use for him, especially since that character actually was black. So Destro knocked up a black lady, and that was his issue in that. So this could be that version of this could be a figure of that character in your own G.I. Joe continuity if you wanted to. Bobby Wald says, I'm looking forward to that Fury Force with Larry Hama. Hell yeah, those figures look awesome. And Fury Force is another kind of obscure corner of the G.I. Joe universe that I've always been really obsessed with. And to see them actually making figures is going to be awesome. Al Davis says, asks, have you seen Jack's Batman 27 points of articulation 5-inch figure? No, I haven't. That sounds awesome. I'm going to have to try to find one. I do have, oh man, maybe I should open up that one today. But no, I don't regret it, because I opened up Red Jackal. I opened up Wolfsbane, and he's awesome. But I do have, actually, the, God, what do you call those? The Beast Kingdom. The Beast Kingdom Michael Keaton. Let's see, can I reach him from over here? He's in this box of stuff that I have here. I can't quite reach him, I don't think. Oh, I just barely reach him. Okay, so this will be in the next episode. I'll open this up in the next episode. Oh, I've got this bad boy. I need to open him up. I'm really excited about this. I found him at Walmart a while back, and it seems like Walmart's gotten in a bunch of these. I know that I see the more common ones I see are Val Kilmer and George Clooney. And you know, those are probably out of at least out of the ones that I've seen, you know, those are probably like the lower tier popular. And you know, I love Val Kilmer, so I hate to say that. But the other ones being Christian Bale from, I think, Batman Begins and your 1989 Batman. Obviously, those are going to be the ones that are selling the best, at least out of the ones I've seen. And I think I haven't actually seen it in person yet, But from what I understand, there is a Ben Affleck, and I would love to have the Ben Affleck. I'd love to have the Ben Affleck one. I'd love to have the Ben Affleck one. But I really want to get the Val Kilmer one too, and I'd probably even get Clooney. And if I can find the Batman Begins one again, I wouldn't mind having that one. But I've only seen Keaton once, and I snatched him up when I got him, and I'm glad that I did. So, but man, doesn't that look cool? So this is my first Beast Kingdom figure, and that'll be the next episode. We'll go ahead and open up Batman for the next episode. So we'll set that aside over here. I still have the Harley Quinn box I need to figure out what I'm going to do with. And I think that's it for this episode. I think that brings it to a close. Al Davis says, I kind of want Michael Keaton, Batman, and Returns, and the Batfleck too. Yeah, I haven't seen a Batman Returns version, but I know that they made one. But I haven't seen it at Walmart yet. I know that Beast Kingdom did make one, though. I think the first one they did was Batman Returns, wasn't it? Like they did a convention exclusive, or it was that kind of metallic blue and silver version. A lot of people kind of scoffed at that one, but I actually thought he was pretty cool looking. I kind of liked that one. As like a variant figure, I thought it was a cool variant figure. Honestly, I probably would, if it was up to me, I'd probably rather just regular matte gray and navy blue. That's just me. The Iron Winch Batman colors. I would have liked to have had Keaton, Batman Returns Keaton in those colors. But hey, anybody from Beast Kingdom, if you're watching this, there's an idea for your next convention exclusive. Just throwing it out there. But that's it for Wolfsbane. That's it for Red Jackal. That's it for Destro. Whatever you want to call this guy. That's it for this episode. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Next episode, we'll be back with Batman from 1989, the Beast Kingdom figure. I'm excited about opening that up. And that's it for this episode. Sorry again about the delay. Life gets in the way. I'm going to try going forward to do at least one episode a week until I have this whole storage unit situation sorted out, but that is eating up a lot of my time. It's very frustrating. So but yeah, finally was able to squeeze one in. It was great to see you too, Al Davis. It was great to see Amiga Cami. Thank you for joining us, Amiga Cami. She says thanks for the show. Well, thanks for being here. You guys make the show better. When I first started doing these live, it was because I was lazy. It was literally because it was easier than shooting the video and then uploading it. I'm like, I can just do it live, and then I don't have to worry about it. It's already uploaded. There, we're done. Finished. But then people actually started coming into the chat and chatting with me while I opened them up, and that opened up a whole new dimension as far as talking about these figures go. So yeah, it's good to have you guys too. So I'm always happy to see Al Davis and Amiga Cami and Bobby Wald and anybody else that I'm not mentioning. Lone Dragon, always good to see him. Always good to see Sean Franklin. Always good to see TMNT. Always good to see Max Games and Toys. If I'm leaving you out, it's just because I got so many people that come by here. And if you're listening to this right now, even if you never post in the chat, if you're hearing my voice right now at the end of the video, if you watch the whole thing, I appreciate you guys the most. Anybody who's hearing me right now, you guys are the ones that I appreciate the most, because if you're hearing it right now, you were either here for the live stream or you watched the whole thing on the replay. And either way, you're a very good friend of the channel in that. But anybody who watches my videos, I appreciate you guys watching my videos, and I appreciate the feedback, even when it's negative. I appreciate the feedback. Sometimes I take it into advisement, and sometimes I just find it amusing. But that's it for this episode. I hope you all enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. Bye.